This is Saturday Morning Mysteries.
And we're your hosts, Alexis and Grace.
Hello, good morning, and welcome back to another episode of Saturday Morning Mysteries, where we're your host. I'm Grace.
And I'm Alexis.
And today we are continuing our funky Phantom arc, our fabulous Revolutionary War ghost.
That's right, you heard it.
That was a real sentence. You heard it here first, or in all of our other episodes. This week, Alexis will be telling us a story, and I also just need to point out something that Bird and I learned right before recording, which is on our separate coasts happen to own the exact same Skull Candy headphones.
The exact. Is this an advertisement for Skull Candy?
Yeah, wait, can they sponsor us?
Boom! Look at that.
Did you like a slow unboxing of our headphones?
Would you guys like to see what they look like? Ooh, and look at the colors.
That we both only use one at a time because we never charge our headphones before
in the same ear. We both use only the right ear.
Yep. So anyways,
wow.
that was important information both for us personally and for you guys to know that whenever we say, wow, we're always on the same page, LOL. Look how true it is.
We literally mean it.
We just proved it to you.
Yeah, we did not coordinate these headphones. This is totally random.
We're just that impressive. So anyways, on that irrelevant note, Alexis, tell us about this irrelevant show.
Just irrelevant to some. I was going to say, this show is very relevant to me. Exactly. So it is very relevant, and I actually get to talk about something that is extremely relevant, at least in my life and the life of many other Americans, and for those Americans with what's going on in certain parts of the world right now. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's probably not going to go the direction that you think it is. I would not take it there.
Okay.
I would get very angry. No. We're going to talk about something much more fun to most people, at least, something that I enjoy very, very much. Today's episode of The Funky Phantom. I'm going to say the name first, and then you'll know what it's about. It's season 1, episode 11, and it is called The Pigskin Predicament. So, we're talking about football.
Oh God.
Were you gonna be like, what, like pork cracklings or like chicharrones or something?
At first, I was like, what? How could this possibly be a what? Everyone is eating pigs? What are you talking about? But then I very quickly was like, does she mean sports ball?
Sports ball. Yes. Today we're talking about sports ball. Everybody's favorite thing. But no, it's funny because yes, I am a very big football fan. Football Americano. I like soccer too, but in particular, American football. Big fan. Cincinnati Bengals all day, obviously. And so I was very excited to see that there was an episode of The Funky Phantom about football, because when I read the description on Wikipedia, I was like, oh goodness gracious, how many ways are they going to fuck this up? And
also, like, in our hearts, Augie is a football star, so I'm very curious to see his role really here is, and also to understand 8% of your references you make.
I know. So as I was typing this, there are a lot of references still in here, including in my 5 headings to the different parts. We're back at it. But at a certain point, I was like, okay, I can't make that reference because Grace is going to understand it and I don't have time to explain it. This is not a football podcast. And also, like, some stuff I still had to look up. So I was like, I know what this term in football is, but I actually don't know what it means. So I was like going down rabbit holes. I was like, okay, no. We're going to keep it basic. We're pretty much going to have an understanding of the sport of football on par with the writers of this episode, which is 0 to like none. Maybe like 5% of the sport.
I could have written this episode with the Wikipedia page open about football and just pulled random terms.
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
You would have done better. Actually, you would have done way better. Trust me.
Okay, great.
So,
I'm ready.
Let us begin. And yes, because although this is a football episode, there is plenty of crime in it. So we'll get started, though, on a more lighthearted foot with part 1. We've got spirit. We can hear it. We So, the Interscholastic High School football playoff is being held at a local stadium owned by the wealthy socialite and town hero, Mrs. Brockton Van Cleet. And Mrs. Van Cleet, she is super rich and she screams old money. She is an older lady. She's got on this very nice red dress and a purple overcoat with, of course, like this very large popped collar and a matching derby style hat on and a very large jewel necklace. And an announcer at center field of this stadium, he welcomes the crowd, welcomes them all to this football playoff game. And of course, he also welcomes Mrs. Van Cleet to the stadium and says that after the game, Mrs. Van Cleet is planning on donating all of the stadium's proceeds to the local benefit charity. Which, like, okay, that's pretty nice. That's cool. You could also just donate, like, you're at your direct money, but like, okay, that's fine. Instead, she's like saying, everyone working here, you're working for free today, by the way, because money
no salaries, no tips,
going to charity. But whatever,
that's how she stays old money. She doesn't spend her own.
The good old way. Yeah. So as the crowd, though, they're not thinking about this as we are. They're cheering and like adoring this old resident billionaire with applause. They're all like screaming her name and thanking her. And so as the announcer announces her, she does this stand up with this like little queen wave and like waves a handkerchief out of the other hand, like, hello, everyone. Yes. And she's sitting in like this little box area by herself too. So she's not one of the people. She's kind of on her own here. Yeah. And she also doesn't have like security or anything like that. Like she's literally by herself. People don't like her. It would seem. Even her guards don't like her.
This special box is just for you because you're so important. Let's go, let's go, let's go. She's not paying us.
Get the fuck out of here. She actually never agreed to do the whole like all proceeds go to the benefit. The announcer just said it because he hates her. He's like, hey, everybody, she's donating all the money from this. And she was like, oh, well, they're all cheering. So no, I guess I have to do it.
I might as well wait.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, it'll be a tax write-off.
Yeah, exactly. Might as well. So yes, the stadium, it has a full crowd. Like I said, they're all cheering for her and everything. And she's thanking them both for their applause and for being at the game. And this massive crowd, right? It's pretty like they're all excited and everything. But the camera zooms in on these two individuals who are sitting directly across the whole stadium from Mrs. Van Cleet. And these two guys, obviously, they're pretty shady looking. You don't know what to think about them. Okay. And their names are Lefty and Fingers. And they're looking at Mrs. Van Cleet through some binoculars. Yeah. They're looking at Mrs. Van Cleet through some binoculars, saying that they have plans to steal that beautiful jewel necklace right off of her neck.
Oh, okay.
But before we get to them, let's talk about this big game that has this massive, exciting crowd. And again, it's for a high school game because this is the Interscholastic High School Football Tournament. And this is in like a college size, if not bigger, stadium. So this must be quite a draw. These teams must be pretty good, right? So who are our exciting and audience capturing teams today, you might ask? One is called Central High School, and the other is called West Side High School.
Did it really close to the microphone for you?
Thank you. I'll turn the volume up on your snaps one night. But anyway, of course, by pure happenstance, Augie, Skip, and April, our beloved loony doony driving crime-solving teens, they happen to be students at Central High. So not West Side, unfortunately, but Central High. Okay. But we know this crew. They aren't just students. And of course, we know Augie is on the team.
Okay. But confirmed he is on the team in this episode.
Confirmed, right? And well, he says it in the past too, but you're right. Yeah, this episode confirms it. But Skip and April and even Elmo, they don't sit on the sidelines. Oh no, these kids are all about the action. Skip, he's the team's quarterback.
What?
That's not my
I thought you were going to say water boy.
No. My same reaction, Grace.
Oh,
April,
no.
you may ask. April is, of course, not just a cheerleader, she's the cheerleader.
She's that bitch.
AKA, there are no other cheerleaders. It's like April
Central
didn't want to
High
feel
is
left
like
out.
25
like,
people big.
maybe at most. Like, maybe.
And
I'm surprised
24 of them
April's
had
not
to be
on the
on the
field.
team.
Yeah.
So she was the only one left to be a cheerleader.
Yeah. Like even other women are on the team with the
Exactly.
guys. They tried to recruit a teacher, even like, yeah, you're our youngest teacher.
You look
You might
young.
pass. Yeah.
Oh no. Okay.
And Elmo, of course, he is the mascot.
Cute.
So yeah. And by the way, so Augie is on the team and he is what is called the halfback. Meaning that
Thank you.
I like had a whole paragraph saying how Augie is totally not a halfback. Skip is not a quarterback. This we know. Just
that I know.
I don't have to explain that, I think, for everyone to
That
understand.
one's obvious.
Augie is also not a typical halfback because, okay, the halfback stands behind the line of scrimmage with the quarterback. Okay. And the halfback is not the halfback carries the ball typically and blocks for the quarterback. Whereas you have other players who run down the field and catch the ball, right? Yeah. So a halfback is usually, since they have to run with the ball, they're usually shorter and like a little bit like more muscular, so they can like kind of like bust through people.
Those
yeah,
skinny
Augie's
ass
massive.
legs.
Augie's like 6'5", 300 pounds. He's like a tight end or like maybe a wide receiver or like just a linebacker. Yeah, and like very skinny legs. It's like, this makes no sense.
Like, he has the body of a swimmer, not.
Yes, like he's all like lats and shoulders and like no legs. Yeah. So it just doesn't make sense to me. But it's okay because again, these writers don't understand football because there are other points where we see Skip and Augie, who I just explained are offensive players, quarterback and halfback, playing defense. So
the school's too small.
Exactly. Skip actually at one point is punting Augie at one point is punting for the team. So he's halfback, he's some sort of defensive lineman, and he's the punter. Yep. So
this school is very small. They have to do it all.
It is to the point where they don't even have a human to fit in the mascot costume. So Elmo is the team mascot. So yeah. Anyway, so that's like the most of the football references that I'm going to make. I wanted to put so many more in, but again.
But this is definitely like the beginning of the end for this team.
It is.
Even I
already, this isn't going to work already. And they're kind of talking about this in the Looney Dooney too, where, Skip is saying, April, isn't it so impressive that I'm quarterback? Like that means that I've got all these brains and everything, which is true. Got to be smart to be a quarterback. But then Augie is like, you're just lucky that they picked you for this week, aka like it seems like it's a free-for-all. Like they just pick whoever for each week. Like
just a rotating roster.
It is.
Of how you said they're playing multiple roles or like positions, it's literally that. It's just a roving roster. And this week, Skip is just at the top for quarterback. And then all their other positions are because it is just that rotating list.
Literally, like Augie.
Sometimes Augie's the quarterback, which doesn't make any sense either, but he is sometimes.
It would make more sense, maybe. I mean, he's tall, he could see over the other players, but yeah. I mean, in this case, it sucks. Too bad it's like the playoff game too. Like, man, if it was Augie's week.
Also, like, damn, what were these other teams doing if they reached the playoffs?
Yeah, and we'll get to that later. We'll see, what the final score is and how the game progression goes here. Okay, and pretty much your assessment so far is correct. Like this isn't going to go well for either team, but anyway, so and I will say that after the team or our crew and the Looney Dooney, they get to the stadium. They're running a little bit behind because they're too busy arguing over who gets April in the car. And they get into the stadium and they ask Boo and Mudsie if they're going to come in too. But Mudsie's like, oh no, I have no interest in football. I'm just going to like stay back and take a nap in the Looney Dooney. So you guys go in and, have a good game. And I think he says something like, what does he say? Like, score a hole in one for me, or like make a basket or a soccer even. Like, he has no clue what's going on. It's classic Mudsy. But back in the stadium, before the game starts and while the crew is in the locker room, let's talk again about our crooks for this week, Lefty and Fingers. So I told you they're planning this diamond or this jewel necklace heist from Mrs. Van Cleet. They're watching her through binoculars on the other side of the stadium. And, you know, these guys, honestly, they're kind of like right on the border of being average Joes and being pretty sketchy. Like from afar, they look pretty normal. They're wearing very normal clothing. But then when you zoom in, you're like, oh, these guys.
What's wrong here?
Do a little jump scare. So Lefty, for one, he is tall and skinny, and he's wearing blue slacks and just a regular like yellow button-down shirt with the blue sweater vest, and has like a blue baseball cap on. But then Fingers, on the other hand, he's shorter and very stocky and is wearing like brown pants and a green jacket. And he has a white fedora on, which, okay, the blue baseball cap at a game, like that makes sense. Why are you wearing a white fedora?
No less.
No less. And their faces are very just like scrunched. Like their cheeks are very big and poofy, but their faces are scrunched and they just look very angry. So that's what I'm saying. Like the clothes look normal, but then you look at them and they're just like,
well, one of their clothes looks normal.
True. Okay, this is true. I mean, if he didn't have the white fedora on, like,
true.
It'd be a normal fit, but yeah.
You know,
he made a choice when he picked it out of the closet this morning.
Chanel or someone said, like, before you leave, always take one accessory off.
That was his accessory.
This man needs to listen to her.
Fingers, on the other hand, or I mean Lefty, on the other hand, the tall one, he probably could have gone without the sweater vest.
Yeah, say exactly.
So Coco Chanel or whomever, you're right.
This is relevant.
This is very relevant.
Even in football.
Yes. So to make this necklace heist a little bit easier for the two of them, they have created this nice little pouch of sorts that's going to help them conceal this massive diamond necklace while they make an exit. The pouch, you may ask how it looks. What does it look like? What does it do? Well, it is a fake football. And they've taken the laces out of the football and they have replaced the laces with a zipper. So it is a football that opens and closes with a zipper and thus is like a little pouch, actually.
Okay, but also doesn't look like a football because there are no laces, just a zipper.
Exactly. Okay. And like it's got to be, it wouldn't be inflated. I mean, I just don't know.
Deflategate.
Thank you. Which put a pin in that.
Oh no. This is a football reference I do know. I love drama.
I was gonna say, we're definitely gonna talk about Deflategate a lot in this episode, and the only reason why is because it's like I know Grace knows about Deflategate, so this I could put in.
Okay, anyways, I'm ready.
So also, it's as far going back to that lesson that we learned from Coco Chanel or whomever. They're carrying this football around like an accessory. So they're just these two guys walking around with a football, which like totally, they're not totally abnormal at a football game. You definitely see that at a tailgate, but once you get into the stadium,
I guess you can get like a souvenir.
Yeah, true. Probably. So like not totally crazy, but also like leave one accessory back
at the tailgate.
Exactly. You guys both have on, or at least, you know, one of you has on a very large overcoat. Like I think there's a pocket that you can fit that necklace in that coat. But nonetheless, that's their plan. That's how they're going to get it out of here. So shortly after Mrs. Van Cleet, oh, sorry, this is part 2 now. Any given conspiracy.
Oh, okay.
So shortly after Mrs. Van Cleet was introduced to the crowd, but still a few minutes before the game starts, Lefty and Fingers make their way across the stadium and they sit in the seats right behind Mrs. Van Cleet. So again, this whole box section, exactly. It's her now, it's her and then in the row. Right behind her. No one is alarmed. No one's alerting her to this. No one seems at all weirded out or confused by this. Everyone's just busy cheering, and excited for this game to start,
Okay.
including Mrs. Van Cleet. She's like, waving to the crowd still and shouting and hollering, excited, saying like, oh my God, I feel like a little schoolgirl again. It's just like the old days 5,000 years ago when I was so young.
when football was invented.
Yeah, I remember the very first football game. Was it like 1930 something, or I don't know. Anyway, so the thieves manage, while Mrs. Van Cleet is like waving her hands and shit, they manage to just somehow stealthily take this massive, and I mean this thing is massive. It's like, what is that? The Diamond of the Sea. What is it? What is it from Titanic?
Wait, like the Hope Diamond?
The Hope Diamond. Yeah, it's bigger than the Hope Diamond.
She saw the Hope Diamond and said, 4.
Yeah, that's nothing. I'm low-key embarrassed that I just called it the Diamond of the Sea. Because
chicken of the sea.
The chicken. I'm hungry. It's lunchtime.
Pigskin. Like, I'm hungry.
Yeah. Okay. But also it's on display at the American Natural History Museum, and I've seen it there. So I'm slightly embarrassed. But no, yeah. So this thing is way bigger than the Hope Diamond. It's like
Rihanna is wearing it on the red carpet because some designer gifted it to her situation.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. That sort of thing. Like, it's probably a solid 3 pounds, I would say.
God. Okay. This woman's frail old neck.
She doesn't notice it. Apparently she's not frail. She'd be doing like some sort of like
I mean, she wears that jewelry all the time and those big derby hats. You really gotta have a strong neck.
Exactly. She has a trainer specifically for that. So yes, they somehow sneak this massive necklace off of her neck, tuck it into their fake football, zip the fake football up, and sneak right away. But of course, as we said, this thing is heavy and very noticeable, so it does not take Mrs. Van Cleet too long to notice that it's gone, although, as we just said, any time period is too long in this case, because lady, again, how did you let this happen? But immediately she freaks out. She starts screaming, saying like, oh my God, where's my necklace? And she asks, she calls for the guards and alerts security to help her find the thief immediately. And at this point, Lefty and Fingers, they've, kind of like gotten down to the bottom of the stairs at the section she was sitting in. So they're a little bit away. And again, they've got the football. So it's not like obvious that they've taken this thing. But once they hear Mrs. Van Cleet screaming for the guards, they're like, okay, time to like actually start running and like put a little pep in our step here. So their plan to exit the stadium is not to just like, kind of power walk out of go with the crowd, power walk out of the entrance and the exit that everyone else is coming in and out of. Don't, make a scene. They decide to run on the field.
Oh no.
And this is before the game starts, and just take an exit that's, I guess, off of the field, like through the locker rooms or something like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, this seems like a horrible idea. Everyone is going to notice you. You guys are drawing more attention to yourselves. But the announcers, like, maybe they want to say something about this, but they see all of these guards running to where Mrs. Van Cleet is. So they're like, oh no, like something's going on in the stands, everybody. Like, hold on. We're getting some interruption in the stands. Something's going on.
So it's like, look towards the stands, not
exactly. The field. So it kind of works where the guys then get away. But at that same moment, because they're running towards the locker rooms for whatever reason, the football teams are coming out of the locker rooms to start the game. So then the announcer is redirected in that way, like, oh, and here come the teams, everybody, we're about to get started. Lefty and Fingers, they run head on into some of the players from Central High.
Uh-oh.
Can you guess which players from Central High?
Taken down. The players, not the thieves.
Oh, it's pretty equal, actually. I mean, they run into Augie first, so then like he's a brick wall, so that's fair. But like Skip definitely gets knocked the fuck back by these guys. Yeah, exactly. And they all drop their footballs because I think like some kids from Central are carrying footballs. These thieves are carrying their football.
Okay.
And all these footballs get classically mixed up. And the gang or the thieves at first are like, you stupid kids, we're trying to get out of here. To which I'm like, you stupid adult. This is the football team's entrance.
Yeah.
What are you doing down here?
Draw more attention to yourself.
Exactly. Which I forget which one it is. I think it's Lefty, maybe. He's like, calm down, fingers, calm down. We don't want to attract any more attention. Let's just get out of here.
Like your white fedora is.
Exactly. Sir, he says to him, looking like, I told you not to wear that. I told you not to wear the white fedora. But anyway, so they just ask for their ball back. They grab it and they leave. Or at least they think they grab it.
They're like, this is so much lighter than before. No questions way lighter here.
So after the crooks, they like dust off and they continue to run out of the stadium. They're left with, yes, a mostly worthless real football, not even signed by any pros or anything. This is just a normal football from a poor high school in town.
The only one they have.
And the only one, exactly. It's like Skip's main job to make sure he brings that football. It's like, Skip, if you lose this football,
Skip, you can play today if you bring
play.
The football.
Yeah.
You can stay on the team if you remember the football, Skip.
Hell, we'll make you quarterback if you can. Remember,
that's why he was quarterback today.
Yeah. But so yes, meanwhile, they've got this worthless real football, and Central High is about to use a very much out of regulation and criminal evidence, no less, fake football. Yes. Which, yes, Grace, at this point, I said, is this about to turn into the high school Deflategate? Was this episode a warning for the future?
They knew. Hanna-Barbera always knows.
They always know. Because, yeah, at this point, if the refs don't even have to inspect the ball at halftime, like, to know that this is out of regulation. They just have to hold it and be like, oh my God, this is much more than like 1 pound. What is rattling in here? Exactly.
They don't even have to hold it, they just look at it. Is that a zipper?
They'd be like, oh, hey, we found Mrs. Van Cleet's necklace. And then they'd be like, Skip, what the fuck? Did you steal Mrs. Van Cleet's necklace? Right, because they were late to the game.
The balls is covered in everybody else's fingerprints now. Those original fingerprints gone.
They're gone. They're gone. And Skip will be like, no, I swear, like, this isn't the ball that I came with. And they're like, sure it isn't, Skip. Sure. So, yeah, I mean, this is insane. But also at the same time, like, it makes no sense because this would make the ball heavier.
Yes,
so exactly. It's like cheating against your favor.
Inflategate.
Yeah, Inflategate. Reflategate?
Yeah.
Overinflate
gate?
Gate.
Reweight gate?
Reweight. Gate. So, yeah. And I guess for folks who don't know what Deflategate is, I didn't even write this out, but I guess some people might not know.
Context.
It was a whole debacle in the 2014 football NFL season. But it happened actually in January of 2015 during the playoffs, so the end of the 2014 season, where the New England Patriots were playing the Indianapolis Colts. And at one point, a dude from the Colts intercepted one of Tom Brady's passes. And he was like, he passed it off to the coaching staff to like keep just as a souvenir. Because, right, you intercept the ball in the playoffs. That's awesome. Good for you. Yeah,
it's a big deal.
And at this point before the game, the Patriots had already been accused by a couple of teams, I think, including the Colts, of possibly deflating their balls because they felt a little bit lighter and squishier than regulation balls should. So the coaches were like, okay, well, now we also have this evidence. And they felt it. And they were like, yeah, this is definitely under this evidence. Exactly. This is probably a little under where it should be. So essentially, like, there was all this back and forth. The refs at that point didn't really officially weigh balls or anything. So they did at that point. They're like, all right, yeah, this is under what it should be. There's so much other stuff I could go into that's behind it about why a quarterback might want to deflate the ball versus why they might want it a certain weight or like at a certain PSI, whatever, than another, but whatever. Suffice it to say, it has to be within like 12.5 to 13.5 PSI, which is, a whole other thing, which is like 0.8 or 8 ounces to 9 ounces, essentially. So just under a pound, or sorry, 0.8 of a pound or to 0.9 of a pound. Okay. So just under a pound. Tom Brady had his probably at like 0.75 pounds or whatever.
Just enough under.
Just enough under. Temperature probably had something to do with it, maybe too, but he eventually settled a lawsuit with the NFL saying that like, yeah, or no, he did assume guilt of saying that he like paid staffers to, you know, deflate some balls, because a team can play with whatever balls they bring, which I think is like one of the dumbest rules in the NFL. I think the NFL should provide the balls. They shouldn't.
Yes.
Yeah, but whatever. It makes sense. A quarterback wants the ball to be the way they want it to be, as long as it's the right weight. It doesn't matter. Nonetheless, Tom Brady did. He like was suspended for 4 games. He had to say he was guilty, but he like also sued the NFL. There was a back and forth and everything about it. It was a huge deal.
Like continued to go.
Yeah.
Like kept coming and coming and coming.
Because they tried to suspend him and he was like, no, I'm suing you. And so then he sued, and that took a while. And they were like, okay, well, your first 4 games of the next season, you'll be out. Like you can't play those games. And so that's what he was challenging. And then eventually he sued and he won that, but then he still had to like assume guilt or admit guilt. And so then he played, or his 4-game suspension applied to like 2 seasons later.
He's like, I'm Tom fucking Brady.
Exactly. I'm Tom Brady. Damn it, I can cheat if I want.
Exactly. I mean, that's basically what happened.
Basically what happened. Yeah, and Bill Belichick too. But anyways, so good old Patriots. That's why people hate the Patriots, and that, and because they always win. They ended up winning that game against the Colts too, and I think they won the Super Bowl that year, and Tom Brady won Most Valuable Player of the Year too. So
yeah, I mean,
he was like your average United States like senator. He was awarded for bad behavior.
I mean, exactly. That's why I was like, yeah, everyone hates him, but like almost the only reason I know about any of this is because I lived in Boston during this time, so like I had front row seats to the entire New England area being like, fuck you, rest of the country. Tom Brady is our child. And you know what?
Your child cheated, and that's okay.
Yeah, they are like the parent who excuses all of New England is the parent who excuses the child for bad behavior, and then the child just continues to have bad behavior.
Yeah, just gets worse. Although, not saying you got worse, Tom Brady, for the lawyers listening.
We know you're listening.
We know that you love this podcast. So yeah, we're not accusing you of anything that you haven't already admitted to. I
just said New England loves you.
Exactly. I was one of your biggest fans until 2015. Okay. No, I'm joking. I did like the Patriots growing up. So yes, that's the end of part 2, I think. Part 3, third and long. Another football reference that some people will understand. Essentially, third and long grace means you fumbled. I was going to say you fumbled the ball, which is also a football reference. So I won't say
I know what fumbling is. I know what that is.
But third and long essentially means you squandered an opportunity and the luck is not looking like it's in your favor. Right as the Crooks get out of the stadium, they hear the announcer over this outdoor PA system telling the stadium guards to keep an eye out for any thieves who may have stolen the necklace and report any information on the stolen necklace to the police. And so Lefty and Fingers, is it Fingers or Finger? Now I forget. I think it's Fingers.
Fingers I just typed Finger because he's like sneaky and stealthy and sleight of hand.
Good. I think I just have a typo in my own script. So I was like, is this their finger? Cool. But anyway, that doesn't seem right. But anyway, so seeing that their window to escape is closing, they're like, all right, well, we just need to get out of here. So they just decide to steal the first car or vehicle that they can find.
Vehicle? You said?
Another plug for our YouTube for those who are just listening. Grace just had the best facial expression.
I see where this is going.
Can you guess which vehicle?
I'm gonna go ahead and they say, you know what would be a fast getaway? This dune buggy we see. You know what would be subtle? You know what? I bet it was Fingers who suggested it in the white fedora. And Lefty was like, no, we need subtlety. You already have that fucking fedora. But Fingers is like, I've already hotwired this dune buggy, this loony doony. Let's go.
It is insane how spot on you are, Grace.
It's that fedora energy.
You wrote this episode literally Fingers is like, I hear those dune buggies are really fast. We can really burn rubber in this thing. Like, he literally says this stuff. He's like, it'll be an easy way out. And Lefty's just along for the ride. Like,
Yeah,
okay.
Like, fine, Hotwire, let's go. Why are you talking?
Fuck out of here.
Flee.
But remember, Mudsy and Boo are still taking a nap in the Looney Dooney. They didn't go in to watch the game. So they are woken up by these thieves hopping into this car, into this dune buggy, and like yapping on and on about how they've got the jewels and how they're about to bust the fuck out of here. And Mudsy is like, oh my God, Boo, are you hearing this? Like, boy, this is crazy. What is going on? And before the thieves get too far, so like they obviously peel the fuck out of there. Mudsy and Boo are like, oh my God, we got to go tell the others. They blip out and go into the stadium to warn the kids. So I guess before we talk about Mudsy and Boo telling the kids, though, let's follow Lefty and Fingers here for a second, because this is obviously going very well for them, right?
Yep.
So they don't get too far away from the stadium before they decide to open up the football and take a look at the beautiful, what they claim to be $1 million necklace that they just stole, which also I'm like, why are you doing that in this like convertible, like open air dune buggy? Everyone can
anyone
see
can
you.
look in and see.
Yeah, you like pull these jewels out of this, like, wow.
Right in front of the CCTV.
They're like still on the stadium grounds. Like cops are driving by them into the stadium. But yes, so Lefty, he reaches down to open the zipper on the football, and he feels that it is, in fact, a real football. And the two immediately panic, pull a U-turn, and head back to the stadium because they're like, obviously, those stupid teenagers took somehow, somewhere, at some point,
those teens.
I don't know how, we got mixed up, right? Yeah, so they have to go back to the stadium and get the fake football before someone notices that the jewels are inside. Because yeah, at this point, Skip, Augie, April, none of these teammates, I mean, look, obviously this thing is a fake football, but like, one is not inclined to just pull the zipper open on a football. Like, that's not what you do when you hold one, unless of course it is that obvious. But it maybe Lefty and Fingers did a better job of concealing this than we thought they did. No one at this point knows that this is a fake football and that there are jewels in it. They're thinking like, all right, game time. Let's go. They're not weighing it. Hey, this was long before Deflategate. They didn't even start. They weren't even weighing them during Deflategate. They just started that like less than 10 years ago. So back in the stadium, Augie, Skip, April, and Elmo, they're sitting on the bench contemplating the recent crime that happened. And at this point, I think the game has already started. So it's like in between plays or something. This is already not going well. The Central High would rather play with 9 players on the field than with Augie and Skip also on the field.
Again, it's the rotating roster. Yeah. Every play's rotating. Everyone gets their turn in a different position.
Exactly. And so this crew, though, they're thinking about this crime. Like, man, who would do that? Like, everyone here seems so nice, right? And Augie's like, yeah, I wish they would have stolen you instead, Skip. Like, all right, cool. Had to get a quick jab.
Had to throw that in there.
Had to. April, did you hear that? That was a good one, right?
He's just hyped up on adrenaline for the game.
He is. And so as they're talking to each other, they then hear Mudsy's voice from underneath a blanket on the bench near them. And they're like, Mudsy, is that you? Because he's telling them that the Looney Dooney was just stolen as well, and by the jewel thieves, no less. And so April is like, are you sure, dude? That seems kind of crazy. Why would they do that? He's like, come on, I'll show you. I'll prove it to you. So she goes with him out to the parking lot to look for the Looney Dooney / any clues to its disappearance. But when they get out there, of course, they see the dune buggy is right where they parked it originally.
Oh.
Because Lefty and Fingers, like I said, they peeled right back around and went right back to the stadium. And of course, they're going to park in the same parking spot because it was still available. Why not? I guess. So April, she's like accusing Muddsy of
Oh
lying.
no.
She calls him by his full government name. She's like, Jonathan Muddlemore.
His
What has
government name
gotten
before there
into
was a
you?
US
A government,
government.
his pre-government name.
Exactly.
But he obviously tells her, like, no, I wasn't lying. I was serious. Like, they were just here. Why would I make that up? But regardless, April's like, well, we have to go on and get back to the game now. So they go back into the stadium. And Muddsy, he's like, well, I'm not staying out of here. Like, I'm afraid of would-be thieves again coming and stealing the dune buggy. So he also goes back in to watch the rest of the game. Part
I think
4, I
I
believe.
think so.
Yes.
Yes.
Quarterback sneak. Yet
Ooh.
another football reference.
Oh, I thought it was just a clever name. I have no idea what that means.
I mean, I guess it is kind of both, but it's when the quarterback like is able to sneak the ball through the line of scrimmage to like make a quick play. Anyway, whatever. Great. Meanwhile, in West Side High's locker room, we see that Lefty and Fingers have now. This is escalated.
Children's locker room.
They've entered this children's locker room. We must assume that some of these high school players are under 18.
Yep.
Lefty and Fingers, they have now tied up, gagged, undressed, and taken the uniforms of 2 players. There are almost too many crimes to count here. They've put on the uniforms
in a completely different direction. Very quickly.
Yes. This has escalated quite a bit.
Okay.
Let's put a very, very short pin in that. So their idea here is that they are going to hop in the game and impersonate these 2 players. This is the best way to get the ball, by playing the game yourself.
I see.
And in the midst of doing this, unpinning that thought, we've got assault, multiple types of the just standard and unfortunate sexual variety.
No.
And harassment and whatnot. I mean, they're undressing teenagers.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very fucked up. We've got false imprisonment, tying them up. We've got robbery, stealing their clothing items and other stuff. Trespassing. They're not allowed, and all against minors.
Yeah.
Trespassing, like you're not allowed in this locker room. Who the fuck are you? Probably a lot of other things that I can't think of because I'm so grossed out by what these 2 adult men have just done.
Yes, like you could have just been like, you know what? We'll just find different jewels at a different time. No one knows it was us. We can get away clean. Or y'all could have just waited till after the game.
Yeah, we could have the game.
But instead, you have now upped your criminal charges by a lot,
like a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could have waited till halftime, or actually, so to be fair, I think this is actually right after halftime, but like you could have said, hey, we gotta like clean those balls or something, or like I don't know, just like there's like 1,000 other ways to steal that ball back, and none of them had to involve assaulting minors,
kidnapping.
Yes.
Yeah.
So these guys really got it coming for them. Let me just say.
These guys are not going to walk free for a very long time.
No, they're not. It went from, I guess it was never petty theft. But I mean, okay, this kind of theft, like they probably, with some good lawyers, I don't know, maybe like 5 years or something, like, a couple of years.
We were just the footmen for a larger crime syndicate.
Exactly.
Like we were forced to do it. We were under duress, but now this is now your own personal actions through.
Now you are not allowed to live within 400 feet of a school. Within 5,000 feet of a school.
Some list. Rightfully so.
So good luck with that life. Not actually. Anyways, so yes, putting all that to the side, that horrible situation that is now unrolled.
Yeah, like I'm also sorry, not putting that to the side yet.
Yeah,
like,
don't actually, because
the
it's
crew
very
gonna
relevant.
Be like, are just like, wow, like I'm like at the end they're gonna be like, wow, we captured these silly thieves, and then like it'll cut to the locker room with like the cops, like SWAT team swarming in to save these teenagers who are like crying and traumatized.
Yeah,
and Skip, April, and Augie are gonna be like, Oh.
Oh, what
Oh, they're like
happened?
real
Yeah.
criminals.
Like trauma counselors on
I
the
know,
scene
rushing
talking to
in.
those two young men who were freaking tied up in the shower. Yeah, just,
Exactly.
oh
News
my
crews
God.
flooding in, and
Yeah,
Augie, Skip, and April are like,
we did it.
oh, just slowly backing up into the Looney
It
Dooney.
is unfortunate for West Side High. Slowly backing out.
Yeah. Yikes.
So, yeah. Anyways, and yeah, you're right. I say to brush past it, but no, don't, because yeah,
We can't. We
it's
simply
essential
can't.
to the rest of the story.
Yeah.
Like, this is their plan, and it makes us hate these villains even more.
Yep.
So yeah, when April, she gets back into the stadium and she goes back to the sidelines with Mudsie, she notices that the game is not going well for Central High School. I believe the
Big
announcer at this point,
surprise.
I know, not at all. I think the announcer says that it's like 13-0 or something at the end of the third quarter.
Okay.
So like West
Yes,
Side
like
is just
game
like
is done. Well, I mean, maybe the ones who are kidnapped were the two best players on West Side.
yes, true. Or maybe these two grown men have been playing for like more than a few minutes and they got like two touchdowns for West Side. I don't know. They're like railing through these little young
These
children on the
teens.
field. Yeah. But anyway, so seeing how bad this game is going for her school, April's like, all right, well, I just need to like cheer my heart out and get the crowd and the
I
team
got
back
it.
into it. And then maybe we'll win. And so she uses her mystical, by the way, she's not even like cheerleading. She's really just doing baton twirling.
Is she in her like normal clothes too?
No, she is in like a cheerleader's outfit.
Okay, at least there's that.
Um, there is that, but like, yeah, it's like baton twirling, not like, flips
Cheerleading.
and like true cheers or anything. She's
Yeah, there
just
are no
saying
pom
like,
poms.
go Central, go Central, go. Yeah, no pom
Great.
poms,
They couldn't
nothing, no
afford them.
choreography, just her like twirling this
The baton is
baton.
just a stick. They can't afford a baton. No less pom poms.
And so she's like, I mean, hey, we've talked about it before. She's got these like hypnotic snake eyes or something. I think the baton is mystical or something too, because it's working. Like
Oh,
the audience is getting into it. No, it's working for
the
the audience,
snake.
not for the team. Um, like everyone's cheering more, they're loving it, right? And so on the field, we get our first good look at Skip and Augie's football skills or lack thereof.
Uh-huh.
I hesitated to call them football skills because it's neither
There
football
are
nor
none.
skills that they're demonstrating here.
They have neither happening. Okay,
Yeah.
as expected.
So Skip tries to run a play that he defines as a reverse fake quarterback sneak.
Okay.
I don't know if this is real or not. I started to research different forms of quarterback sneaks and different types of plays. And I was like, yeah, why am I doing this?
You're like, this is not real, and I know it. Alexis. You just love
I
football that
literally,
much.
I
That's how
literally
much
had
you
to
love
like slap
football.
myself on the hand. Like,
Nope.
why? I'm like punishing myself. So, and also because it's Funky Phantom, I'm like, even if it was real, what does it matter? I don't care.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, yes, Skip runs this complex play to try to trick West Side. But of course, because it's not a fucking real play, it doesn't work. And so he and Augie get absolutely wrecked behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, it's hopeless. So the score is still 13-0.
Yeah, that
even
checks.
even after April puts all that work in.
Yeah.
And so at this point, we see April again, and she's like, "Oh man, I think it's going to take more than cheerleading to beat one side," which yes is factual and true.
Yep.
But also, yes, to be fair, West Side does have again two full grown adult men
Who are we've seen
playing
are
for them
violent.
undercover. They are very violent.
Yeah.
And yes, this is not exactly a fair fight. But I would also like to point out that for whatever reason, and this is not essential to the plot really at
But tell me.
all, April is standing on the west side, like she's standing by their bench.
She's going to the winning side. She's like, maybe I can find my prom date over here.
West Side is where all the rich kids go. West Side has like a whole defensive team and offensive team. They can actually afford things.
I have my pick of dates from here. Looks over at Central. Augie and Skip just on the ground.
On the ground, like on their backs, like mangled, tackled. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna go to the West Side prom this year.
Start spinning that baton on that side.
Hypnotizing them. So yeah, like I said, it has nothing to do with the plot at all. I just thought it was hilarious that she was
the love triangle plot. It does have to do with, though, I would say.
This is true. Augie and Skip are pissed. They're even more, their drive to beat West Side has just gone up exponentially. Yeah. Like, they're trying to steal our girlfriend.
She's like, I was not either of your girlfriends ever. This is not a love triangle.
So anyways, yeah, she's on the wrong side of the bench, but we see Mudsie is still over there with her, or not even on the wrong side of the bench. She's on the wrong side of the field with the wrong bench, with the wrong team. And Mudsie is with her over there too. He's like hiding in all of West Side sports gear and everything. And he's telling April, like, oh, cheer up. Like, if you just cheer and get everyone back into the spirit, everyone will be fine. We're going to make this work. Because you can see that she's down, that her cheerleading is just not good. It's not cheerleading at all in the first place. And it's not doing anything to swing this game. Exactly. Yeah. So she's like, look, or he tells her again, like, there's one way to win this game. It's with the power of school spirit.
Yes, it is Mudsie.
And so at this point, like, a West Side player overhears Mudsie talking with April and is like confused. Like,
he's like,
you hear this?
That bitch is crazy. I'm not taking her to prom.
Crazy. Like, two of them are looking at each other. First, they're like, why is she over here? And who is she talking to? I think she's crazy.
Doing both voices? We got it. Yeah. Okay, yeah, have fun. Good, other side of the bench.
Bye. Call the coach, like, coach, get scary. This girl's crazy. Something's wrong with her.
Get her on her side.
So yes, her and Mudsie, they keep cheering, or she keeps cheering, and they keep watching the game together. And eventually, Mudsie, he's looking at these two players on the field, and he's like, April, oh my God, look at players 12 and 13, which in my mind would be hilarious if he was like, they've got great big sides or something. You checking out that ass, April?
Damn, get them to take you to prom, girl. Get the Gatorade ready. Get him over here.
But in reality, he's like, I recognize those guys as the goons who were stealing the dune buggy, and thus as also the jewel thieves. And April's like, Mudsie, are you sure? Because also, like, they have helmets on, so it's I don't see how Mudsie can recognize them, but he is positive.
Despite the fact that they're like a foot taller than these teenagers.
That is probably what it truly is. That, and that, like, the helmets probably barely fit on their heads because they're like for teenage boys and not full-grown adult men. Exactly. So April's like, are you sure, Mudsie? Like, you're sure those are the guys? And he's like, I'm positive. So she asks him, okay, well, what's your plan then? What are we going to do to go get them? And he says, leave it to me. It's funky Phantom time. And then he blips off.
Why weren't they saying that the whole season?
All the time. That would have been amazing, right? Line. Funky Phantom time. Make a whole song about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he blips off and goes onto the field. And we are now at part 5, our last part of this episode. And Grace, I think you're going to like this one. Smells like team spirit.
The best one.
We always save the best for last here.
April suddenly has a guitar and it has like a grunge outfit on. Yeah. She's wearing flannel instead.
Yes.
Hell yes.
So Mudsie, he goes out to the field and he tells Skip and Augie about players 12 and 13. And then he immediately, just like Mudsie, gets involved in the game. He's like, okay, I've watched like 5 minutes. I know how this sport works. And so this, by the way, is as West Side is on offense and Central is on defense. So West Side has the ball. And again, this is confusing to me because Augie and Skip are both still playing. Skip is quarterback, but he's on defense right now. So whatever, you know.
Half the team's gotten injured from the two adults beating the shit out of them.
You just see like little teenage bodies just flying across the field.
Which also, I'm like, do these two criminals have the ball? Why don't they just run off the field?
In due time, Grace, in due time.
Sorry. Okay.
I don't know what positions players 12 and 13 are. I guess, look, to be fair, these guys, they don't know what plays the team's running. So they're probably like not in the right formation. And the quarterback's like, well, I can't fucking pass it to you because you're like the thieves are probably trying to just take the ball from the quarterback. And he's like, no, get on the line. What are you doing?
My college recruiter is here. This game matters a lot, okay?
Literally, which I'm so glad that you pointed that out.
He was supposed to be here. Like, God, he left at halftime and hasn't fucking come back yet. We gotta do our play. We practiced.
None of us are getting recruited. Exactly. We all just lost our recruitment deals.
In the locker room.
Yeah. So, or actually 12 and 13 are like their standout players and are trying to get recruited. So everyone's watching like these thieves playing as 12 and 13. Like, what the fuck happened to them? Wow. They were supposed to like win this game for West Side. Okay, we'll scratch them off of our recruitment list. Exactly. Even like NFL drafters,
children's future.
NFL coaches are there just like scoping it out. Like, okay, what should we be on the lookout for in a few years? Like, oh no, not that kid. That kid is terrible. Kids. He is so awkwardly shaped. Why is he so tall and
why does he keep trying to did he just punch the quarterback and rip the ball?
Horrible sportsmanlike conduct. That's not.
Does he smell like whiskey?
Why does he look drunk out there? Anyways, so yes, Muddy, like I said, he hops into this game. And yeah, Central, they're on defense. So what Muddy does is he just intercepts the ball from West Side off of the hike. Like he doesn't even wait. No. So yeah, he's gone invisible. He's like blipped invisible. And he's just like going all around the field.
Floating.
It is. Which also I just realized too is a good cost saving mechanism for these producers and stuff. Like they don't like a third of this episode, they don't even have to draw Muddy. They just got Dawes in the studio, like, hey, just read some lines. And they just, it's a good way to cut labor costs.
Just a little football.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not our titular character or anything.
No, you don't need to see him. You can hear him. That's all you need. Except that when you hear him, you're like, wait, isn't this Snugglepuss?
Right.
So then you forget what show you're watching.
Yeah.
This is why it only lasted for one season.
Unfortunately.
So yeah, Muddy, he just goes to the West side of the line of scrimmage and just like takes the ball as the quarterback is like hiking it, or as it's being hiked to the quarterback. He just like grabs it, so the quarterback never even gets it, and then he just like runs it over to Skip, and then like instead of Skip running down the field, he just picks Skip up and runs Skip down the field. So Skip is just like floating through the air with the ball.
Okay,
but it leads to a touchdown and thus a quick pick six for Central High School, aka a turnover to a touchdown. So now the score is like 6-13.
Wow, Muzzy does understand the sport.
He's really good, actually.
Yeah, turns out.
He doesn't understand the rules, but he understands that you have to get the ball into the end zone to score. So that's fine. Yeah. So a soccer. Get a soccer for me.
Soccer even.
Yeah. So pretty quickly, with the help of Mudzy, like we see a little montage of all of this. Central is able to get the score up to 12-13 with only a few minutes left on the game clock.
And West Side is not like, or the refs just aren't throwing flags everywhere about this floating.
They kind of are. I mean, they're like looking at it in disbelief and amazement and saying like, what the hell? What is going on? And everyone's just like, wow, touchdown Central.
Yeah, that's mainly what they care about.
Exactly.
Cool. Got it.
So Mudzy, though, he's an equal opportunity cheater. So he doesn't just play favorites. He doesn't just want Skip to have the shine. Okay. So in a later play, he again intercepts the ball from West Side, and this time hands it off to Augie, who then runs it down the field, also to score. And
himself or with Mudsie carrying him?
Actually, I think this one, I think he carries him too.
Yeah.
Look, there's only so much I could. There's only
you're
so
right. I
much
take
of
it
this
back.
I could truly grasp.
Strike it from the record. Next. Next play.
And so I would also like to point out during this, because you're probably like, oh, how's April doing on the sidelines with her
She getting some dates? Getting some numbers?
No. At this point, April is cheering, but she's doing a really bad job of like hiding the plot, or like, you know, not letting people know that they're cheering. She's out over there like, go Mudsie, go Mudsie, go. I don't know. Maybe there's someone else on the team with a similar last name, Mudsie, or a nickname, Mudsie. But otherwise, she's just straight up saying, yeah.
It sounds like the crowd is going wild. No one can hear her.
Probably not.
She's one cheerleader.
She knows too. Like, no one's listening to me anyways. Like, I'm not doing shit down.
I have no authority.
Exactly. I have no power in this anyways. Like, I'm hardly even here. I just wanted to be invited. Yeah. So yeah, anyways, Mudsie is winning this game for Central, and like, yeah, there's a lot of cheating going on here. Yeah. And no doubt there's going to be a massive investigation after this by the Interscholastic Football Association.
Absolutely.
But until then, you know what? You got to fight fire with fire. And West Side, whether they know it or not, they've got 2 full-grown men on their side. So I think that one unathletic ghost on Central's side is a fair match and a fair trade.
Yeah, they were already cheating. But they didn't
exactly. So anyways, the game, it goes back and forth for a bit until the crooks eventually score for West Side and thus have the ball. And so they're like, all right, well, let's just keep running. So they get through the end zone and just try to make a break for it. But everyone's like, hey, what are you doing? Like, stop. That must be the crooks. That's them. I think at this point, well, so it's like pretty much over at this point, because before it was only a few minutes left and there's like a few more plays that they run, but whatever. So at this point, I think the kids are like done playing around with these crooks and everything, because again, Mudsie told the boys as soon as he got on the field, like, hey, we're pretty sure 12 and 13 are the jewel thieves. They're like, okay, cool. So like at this point, they've just been playing football, like knowing that the thieves are on the field.
Mudsie was just like, please let me play.
Let me play. I've always wanted to play sports ball. They never let me back then. So yeah, at this point when the crooks are trying to run away and everyone's like, okay, well, this is obviously sus because, like you said, the game's not quite over yet. They're still running. So Augie and Skip are like, that's them. Those are the crooks. Sorry, we didn't tell you earlier, but that's them, by the way. And to catch them, Mudsie, he dumps a barrel of butter from a popcorn stand. That is,
where's the barrel of butter? Also, that mean it's scorching hot?
Yes, it is. And he didn't go into the stadium and grab butter from the concession stand. That would take too long. In this stadium, Graces, oh my God. In this stadium, Grace stands are on the field. Mudsie, he gets it from the sidelines. Like this popcorn stand is right on the sidelines.
They're growing kids. They got to snack all the time. Look how many calories they're burning. They're 16.
Could you imagine like playing this grueling game of football and in between, like for water breaks, you're just like downing on salty, buttery popcorn?
Gatorade in one hand, popcorn in the other.
The good old American way. So anyway, yeah, I had to draw that out because I just need everyone to understand that they put a popcorn stand on the sidelines, like right by these benches, where Mudsie grabs a barrel of butter and then dumps it on the sidelines.
Have not seen that popcorn stand in any of the shots except for this one.
This is the first time we see it.
Yeah, it's the final corner popcorn stand. You know, he's like, the kids are about to be done with the game. They're going to need a snack. As they go into the locker room, they each get a bag of popcorn.
A little baggie of popcorn. It is
Good
like
game.
the old days.
Good game.
You ever remember playing soccer when you were younger? I don't know, like for us at least, when I played on my little like community team,
Yeah.
every parent was like on snack duty a different week. It was rotating.
Exactly.
So like one parent brought like juice boxes and another brought some crackers, and then the next
oranges,
week they rotated, etc.
Yeah.
It's just like that. You get handed as soon as the game's over. And then like it was always the more important competition of like, this was soccer in particular for me. It was never who wins the game. It was who had the better after game snacks.
I mean,
so you would be like stunting with like your Capri Sun and your goldfish. Like, look, oh yeah, we won and we have the better snacks while they're eating like
Crunch.
apples or something.
Go you
yeah,
healthy
like,
nerds.
Nerds. Ew. So yeah, you're right. That's 100% what this popcorn is for, but not anymore because Muddsy ruins it. Yeah, right.
The West Side.
Hey, this is Miss Van Cleet's gift to the whole stadium.
You're right. You're right.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, he just dumps this butter right on the sidelines where the crooks are running, and they slide through the butter as they try to run away, and they get all like stuck and slip on it and everything in the middle of this buttery mess. And so at that point, Augie and Skip, they run in, they tackle these two to hold them down until the police and all the guards arrive on the field.
Great.
And this whole time, the audience is just hollering, hooting, and shouting in amazement as they cheer on the kids for saving the day. Yeah, it'd be pretty awesome. I'd actually be kind of pissed though that they wasted all the butter. I would actually be terrified about what made the butter dump on the field like that.
Yeah, I would have had questions a long time ago for sure,
Yeah.
from the first football flying through the air
Yeah.
without being thrown.
Just magically with Skip flying through the air.
Exactly.
Also, lots of questions in this game. Like I said, the local football association no doubt will be investigating. Scholarships will be lost.
Will be
dreams will be shattered by teenagers who have been hoping to play for like the big leagues one day.
As is
but
American
anyways,
dream.
yes. But in the end, after all of this, we see the teens and Mrs. Van Cleet and some police officers outside of the stadium, and we see Lefty and Fingers in handcuffs in the backseat of the police car. They have been arrested. And Mrs. Van Cleet is thanking the kids, and the police are thanking the kids for their help in solving the crime. And the officers hilariously are like, the thieves will be watching a lot of football where they're going. And the other one's like, yeah, on prison TV. And I was like,
next.
Crickets.
It's their first day on the job.
Yeah. They're trying to like redeem themselves for not doing their jobs in the first place. Like, aren't we so funny and clever? No, you're not.
No.
So in the back of the police car, we then see Lefty and Fingers, or we hear them talking about how close they were to success and that they can't believe those. Yeah, right. Yeah. In their minds, they're a little delulu, but it's okay. Let them live in their own world, Grace. It doesn't matter at this point. They're getting locked up.
True.
You know what? Honestly, maybe they can plead insanity if they really stick to this. Yeah.
Yep.
So they're talking about how close they were, and that they can't believe those kids outsmarted them, and that something spooky must be going on with them. And Lefty's like, yeah, I wonder how they did it. And Fingers says, it's all a muddle to me. And at that point, Muddsy, he pops out of the middle seat, chilling himself as full ghost mode in the cop car. And he essentially looks at them and says, keep my name out of your motherfucking mouth. And then just like moves back out. And the thieves just like faint, and then they get driven off.
Break and get insanity, please.
They literally just like faint in the police car.
Yeah, like they weren't insane, like they couldn't plead insanity at the time of the crime, but the way they will be acting from here on out and all the psyche valves they're about to get, you know, of their actual way more intense crime, because those cops are now finding the kidnapped and assaulted children. They
Oh
will
my
now
God, I
get
forgot
that
about that
insanity.
part for a second. Yeah. You meanwhile, while like, yeah, the cops are joking about prison TV, you also see like SWAT helicopters circling in the
You
background and
see the
like
quarterback from
full
West
teams
High,
like
like,
rushing in. Yeah.
please, my friends are gone. I haven't seen them in 2 quarters. Something happened
We
to
don't
them.
know where
Please
they are.
find them.
Yeah, did anyone ever stop to question when they like took off the helmets of the two thieves? Like, wait, where's the actual 12 and
I think that's
13?
when the
I've heard.
quarterback from West High
Yeah.
was like,
So are we still looking for them,
yeah,
guys? Guys?
hi, my best friends are gone.
Yeah. And
Please help me.
to kind of add insult to injury here, because yeah, I didn't really think about that. The gang is there driving home back in the Looney Dooney. April is like, wow, how great is it that Mrs. Van Cleet's going to donate a bunch of money to Central High now as a reward for solving the mystery? Which, like, damn. So, first of all, they still let Central win, even though clearly, like, there was a lot of, they should have just canceled the game. And
Yeah.
second of all, there are two students missing from West Side. I think they need the money more right now.
Yeah, I think the
Slash,
money
like,
needs
even
to
if
go
they
to
were
the
found.
therapy and social workers
Exactly.
for these children and this whole
Yeah,
team now.
exactly. It's like, it's kind of mean to give Central the money at this point when, like,
Congrats on
something
winning,
very,
comma.
very, very traumatic just happened to West Side.
Congrats on winning, even though the other team cheated by having 2 grown-ass adults on their team. Here's the money,
Yeah,
not, hey, are
not
you guys okay?
dot dot dot. Yeah. So anyways, nice of you, Mrs. Van Cleef, but yeah, crazy. But anyways, at the end, the boys they're arguing over who really saved the day, Skip and his brains or Augie and his brawn.
That's
And
it, Bugsy.
April tells them to stop fighting and to remember that the real hero of the day was Team Spirit, aka Muddy, who then like pops out like, you mean me? And then they're all like, yeah, the end.
Wow. Wow. What a roller coaster of an episode.
Yeah, yeah.
Great job.
Thank you. What I'm trying to
I,
think of a football reference for like a crazy game, but I can't. My brain
mean,
is mush after that.
we've
That
already talked
experience.
about the drums of Deflategate, so it's fine. I
Yeah.
feel like I've learned less about football in this episode. I learned more about football terms, but less about how football works because of all the other incidences that occurred.
Yeah, not a single writer of this episode has
I've
watched a
ever
single
watched.
episode or a single game of football in their life.
Exactly. They were all the
Not a
baton
one.
twirlers.
Yeah. Which like most football games don't actually have. I mean, like they have cheerleaders, but it's not like
Yeah.
I
They
guess
have a
maybe some do,
band
but this
at
is
like
why.
halftime, and that's where the
Yeah,
baton twirlers
exactly.
are.
Yeah, and this is why they wrote this episode so horribly and to make football look terrible because they're like, they would never let us play or twirl our batons during the actual game. We always had to do
We
it
have to go
during
on
halftime
halftime
where
where
no one
everyone's
was
getting
paying
a snack.
attention. Exactly.
So something else I was thinking about this episode
Mhm.
was have you ever heard, and I'll tell you why it's relevant in a second, but are you familiar with like I can't think of exactly when it was, mid 1900s maybe, or 1900s, like, last century.
1950s. Yeah. Or
Yeah.
like
I think maybe around that time. I don't actually know. It could have, it also feels like it's something that would have happened in the 70s. But are you familiar? It's a baseball game, but with Cleveland's 10-cent beer night.
oh God, no. Why is it always Cleveland, man?
This is the epitome of Cleveland. Basically, the long story
It
short,
sounds like it's gonna go very, very wrong. 10-cent beer, even back. Well, anyway.
no,
Well,
yeah, you are
yeah.
correct.
Okay.
Basically, full riots broke out, et cetera, et cetera. But at one point, like the inside was so chaotic of like people trying to get their 10-cent beer that they brought a beer truck onto the baseball field. And it was like two like teenage girls were the ones divvying it out, and it got so overwhelming that eventually they were just like, fine, don't even pay. And so there was just a beer truck on the field,
On the
like
field,
in the outfield.
they like can't play the game.
Yeah, there's a really great, I'll send you the episode of the Dollop podcast a long time ago, did a great coverage of it, but that's what made me think of when you were like, the popcorn like stand was on the field. I was like, Alexis, this is not as crazy as you'd think.
Maybe that was the inspiration.
Yeah, exactly.
So many of the things that happened during this episode, I was like, man, I should research. I need to like look up to. They had to be inspired by something that happened in history, right? It just doesn't make any sense otherwise. But there's just so much ridiculous stuff that you can't track it all. But that we're just going to say that is what inspired it. That's amazing. Exactly. I've never heard of that. Oh, yeah, it's
iconic. And then also my other thought was like with these thieves and their plan. I was like, okay, maybe it is that they want this one specific necklace. But Mrs. Van Cleet probably has a lot of very fancy necklaces.
Yeah.
You know she's not home during the games. Why aren't you breaking into our house and getting all of her jewelry then?
Literally. Like it makes the
first thought.
It makes no sense. It was never. They said that it was a flawless plan. I mean, again, let them be delusional so that they can plead insanity. But yeah, I mean, it made no sense from the jump. Like in this very public place with quite literally thousands of witnesses, you decide to steal this thing. Maybe she's got great security at her house or something, but look, whether you're going to steal the rest of her jewelry from her house or this specific necklace, I guarantee you there are 5,000 better places that you could steal it from her from rather than at this football playoff. And that is being like nationally broadcasted.
You could have worn to blend in more than a white fedora.
Exactly. Most importantly, in a blue sweater vest. What are you doing? Oh my God.
Wow. Incredible.
Thank you. Yeah, great episode. It's entertaining. I think you'll know a lot more about football than you give yourself credit for, Grace, when you watch this. I watched this year. There you go. So, yeah, on that end, I'm going to wrap up now because we've got to watch the football draft at least. I don't know about you later, but no, I'm joking. It is officially the NFL draft season. So, I didn't know that. Yes, Grace, until next week, who should they tell about this wonderful podcast?
I think y'all should tell on whatever your favorite football team is, tell their latest draft picks.
Good point. That's a good
they're
one.
They're fresh, they're young, they're excited to make a name for themselves. Yeah, I'm sure they have Instagram or other social media. Slide into those DMs, say congrats. Hope all your dreams are coming true.
Yeah.
Listen to this episode.
It'll
be the talk of the locker room.
Yeah.
When you meet all of your new teammates, this is a great talking point.
It is.
This episode.
You can tell them that at least one of these podcast hosts is a very big football fan. And the other is just along for the ride. And the other one is just
period.
Is.
Yeah. Who else should they tell?
So after you tell the new draft class, you should tell your favorite coach or your team's coach. Nice. The head coach, not the offensive or defensive. Who cares? No, I'm joking. Tell whichever of the coaches you want. Perhaps if you're living in New Orleans, you'll even tell a toss cousin of mine who coaches for the New Orleans Saints. So
damn.
No big deal.
She's just gonna go text her cousin and tell him.
Okay, I'll tell Charles, watch my episode this week.
Please.
No. Anyways.
Wow. What a brag. What a humble brag at the end.
Humble brag. Yeah. And another one of my cousins played for a few teams, no big deal. But he's like my third cousin, but still.
Still counts, whatever.
Still counts, yeah. I like Noah's name. Yeah, it's cool. Anyways,
all right,
until next time.
We'll see y'all next week. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Saturday Morning Mysteries.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share, rate, review, leave us a like, and drop a comment. We post episodes every Saturday and bonus tune tangents whenever we feel like it. So please subscribe so you don't miss the shenanigans.
And if you want to follow us on YouTube, click the bell under the YouTube subscribe button to receive notifications when new videos are posted.
And if you want to subscribe to the podcast, we have no idea what you're listening to us on, so just hit the big subscribe button on whatever app you're using. We believe in you.
Give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at SatmornMist, all the abreves, and let us know if you have any episode or show requests by emailing SaturdayMorningMysteries@gmail.com.
Thanks to Jenna Kendall for the logo design and to Ava Sakiki for the music used during this week's episode.
See y'all groovy kids next week on Saturday Morning Mysteries.